The entrance to the storage room was just as Ted remembered, locked. It was also right off a busy hallway, and on top of plenty of other visitors and a school group, the hall was patrolled by several museum personnel. "I don't like this," Sinead said. "Amy and Dan are probably busy gathering all the information in the gallery right now." "You can go to the gallery if you want," Ted said, knowing that there was no way she would actually take him up on it. The Starling triplets always worked together. When the three of them combined their genius IQs, they were unstoppable. "Just hurry up," Sinead grumbled. Ted had his cell phone out, a special one he'd modified himself, and was aiming it at the lock on the storage room door. The lock was a typical model, nothing very sophisticated, just a keypad requiring a 5-digit code. The decoder was on Ted's phone, which would have it unlocked in less than a minute. The problem was getting them inside without anyone seeing. "Ned," Ted said, "I'm going to need you to make a distraction." Ned rolled his eyes. "You got to have all the fun," he said, but he was already sauntering off, getting as far away from Ted and Sinead as possible. Ted aimed his phone at the door and heard a satisfying snick as the lock released. A moment later, his brother's voice suddenly rang out through the wide hall, drawing the eyes of every person in the vicinity. Ted and Sinead pulled the door open and slipped inside. "Too easy," Ted said. "Whatever, just start looking for Franklin documents. Anything that looks like it might relate to a clue. If we haven't found anything in the next 5 minutes, we're going to the gallery," Sinead said. The storage room was plenty dark, but it did have some low lighting that cast a dim illumination through the space. Ted saw rows of shelves full of plastic bins labeled with numbers. He pulled one out, rifling through the papers inside. "Looks like shipping records," he muttered. On the other side of the room, Sinead was examining a large stack of gray plastic tubs. Christmas decorations," she announced, rolling her eyes. "Great, Ted. I'm sure we're going to find exactly what we're looking for in here." Ted clenched his teeth, but didn't reply. He checked a few more storage bins, all filled with useless information. A few times, his heart leaped when he saw the word Franklin, but it was only the name of the building scribbled across old envoys and memos to museum employees. "2 minutes left," Sinead called from across the room. Frustrated, Ted became less careful as he looked through the contents of every file. How was he supposed to find anything in 5 minutes? He started dumping papers onto the floor, snatching them up at random to see what they were, and throwing them to the ground when they proved to be unhelpful. Empty storage bins and their lids lay scattered among the papers that carpeted the floor. Sinead was probably right. Anything useful would be found by following the Cahill kids, not by looking through the junk in storage. And then light spilled into the room. "Hey!" a museum guard yelled from the doorway. "What are you—" He never finished his sentence because Ted and Sinead were already in motion, charging at the man before he could take a step backward. Sinead pulled the guard into the storage room and shoved him back into a wall, planting a hand over the man's mouth to keep him from making any noise. "Go, Ted," she snapped. "Get to the Cahills. I'll keep this guy busy." For a moment, Ted froze as he watched his sister struggle with the guard. He couldn't leave her. She'd almost certainly be caught and arrested, and their clue hunting team would be cut down to 2. They needed each other if they were going to win this contest. But then, Ted reached into his pocket and pulled out his cell phone. "Hang on," he called to his sister. The security guard was grabbing at Sinead's long auburn hair with his free arm and trying to use his weight to push her off. The man was bigger than Sinead, and she was wearing out fast. Ted began entering codes into his cell phone, so fast his fingers were a blur. If he could just rewrite this program quickly enough. "Ted!" snarled Sinead. She was losing her grip on the security guard, who had slipped to the side and was flailing one leg at her. Muffled yells emitting from behind Sinead's hand. "It's okay, I've got it." "Come on." Ted gestured wildly at her, then fled for the door. For a moment, he was afraid Sinead would insist on sacrificing herself to save her brother, but then he heard a thud, and her footsteps behind him. A quick glance back told Ted Sinead had shoved the security guard to the floor. The man pushed himself up surprisingly fast and barreled after them. Ted skidded on some loose papers, nearly crashing into one of the shelves. He threw his weight forward, steadying himself, but a large hand grabbed the hem of his polo shirt. Ted's instincts kicked in. He whirled around and brought the side of his hand slicing down through the air onto the security guard's wrist. A loud yell of pain followed, and the man released Ted's shirt. Sinead was already in the hall, and Ted threw himself after her, slamming the storage room door shut behind him. He pressed a key on the keypad to lock it, and then he and Sinead were running away down the hall. "What good is that going to do?" Sinead snapped as they went, slowing to a quick walk so that the people in the hall didn't stare. "He'll be out as soon as he punches in the code." Ted held up his cell phone and smiled. "He's not getting out anytime soon. I wrote a quick program that allowed my phone to change the code on that door. They're going to have to break it down before the guard can get out of there." A grin split Sinead's face in half. "You wrote an entire program in 10 seconds? You really are a genius, little brother." Ted smirked back at her, and they headed down the hall to rejoin Ned. It was still early in the clue hunt, but Ted was feeling pretty good about their chances.